Hi Aries, and welcome to your November 2020 general reading. So we're in Scorpio season. Scorpio and Aries have a very interesting relationship. It's about, they both work together to get us to evolve. Yeah, they both represent the evolutionary principle, and so they work in a quite a harmonious way. They're not harmonious when because sometimes we evolve through difficulties, so that's sometimes when it's more challenging. But Aries and Scorpio are about the evolutionary process, and Aries is the agent of our soul that acts on behalf of what our soul's trying to do. So obviously it's been in retrograde for about 3 or 4 months, which it's been challenging and not at the same time, because a retrograde asks us to go inwards and to ask what we truly want. So the purpose of a retrograde is to separate what was the past, to reflect, and then go forward in a brand new cycle. Okay, so you get 2 Lenormand cards here. Now the first card is the mice card. The mice card gets a really bad rap because it can be this voice in our head that's constantly undermining our self-esteem and our confidence. So not good enough, and what if I fail? The fear of failure is hardwired in our DNA, by the way. We all have it. So if I do this, then I'll fail. So a lot of us don't even act because of the energy of the mice, this undermining energy. So it can have a very negative feeling that there's something undermining you. Or it showed up recently for a few of my clients when it was a nagging voice in their head, but they listened to it and didn't try and get rid of it. And what it guided them towards was things that had to be resolved. So one had a health issue, one was, I've got this voice in my head that's not going away. They stopped and they embraced it and they dealt with it. And to absolutely remarkable breakthroughs, by the way. So if you've got a voice in your head that's undermining you, then the mice is a negative, because self-doubt it's hardwired within us, but boy, it can cause such heartbreaking consequences. If it's a voice in your head that's nagging you about something, create a dialogue with it. Is it trying to protect you? Is it trying to tell you that there's an action that needs to be done? That there's something not completed that wants to be completed? That's the trick with the mice. So I don't dislike the mice cards when it comes up for me, because I know there's something that I need to pay attention to. You also get the moon card. The moon card's a lovely card actually in the Lenormand deck. It's it can be a bit romance. So it can be, it's very it's a card about our relationships. It's a card about spending quality time with the people that we love, connecting. It's our emotional mind. So it's about fulfilling this need that we have for connection. So make sure the mice isn't undermining your connections, which is one way it can do it. And it does it because we're too critical of others, we're too critical of ourselves, we're insecure. All these things undermine our relationships, so look out for that. What else have I got to say? That's it. I think the rest of the deck will show us, but most importantly, the message I'm getting for you, especially when Mars is going direct and December's astrology, you don't want to take this undermining energy with you to the future. But make sure all your I's are dotted. Make sure there's not Just make sure there's completion in things. I don't know why, but that's the message I'm getting. It's going to play out differently for everyone. But sometimes what undermines our relationships is we see the flaws and not the gifts. So, but let me find out. So this would be like a Seven of Swords card, that sort of thing. Let me find out what's going on for you, Aries. So you get the Three of Swords behind you, yeah? The Mice with the Moon card. So there's an undermining energy on the emotional level here. Three of Swords isn't a terrible card, by the way, with the Chariot. So the Chariot is also Cancer, which is the Moon. And the Three of Swords is a state of mind because it's a swords card. And sometimes it can feel this wound of separating, being separate from other people. Sometimes it's past hurts that still live in our DNA and still affect our relationships today. That sort of thing. Some of you might have gone through a bereavement, although the Three of Swords tends to show up with certain other cards if there's been a loss. If not, the Three of Swords is, there's been a little bit of a storm, but it's a swords card, so it's a thinking processes. So something's happened in the past, we project it onto the future, and that's why we keep getting the same old stories rather than stopping, taking those swords out of the heart. And there's no other way we can do it, Aries, by feeling it, by the way. What you want is a Ten of Pentacles. The gift is a Six of Pentacles, lovely. The challenge is Temperance. Five of Wands in your relationships, yeah, totally. There's something going on here because the Five of Wands is the evolutionary energy that pushes Aries forward, pushes us all forward, by the way. And it forms a relationship with Scorpio. We're in Scorpio season. There's some sort of dynamic in your relationship field here. And maybe it's the mice, it's something from the past that's still living on. Maybe there's a relationship that's not evolving the way that you want it to. Four of Pentacles and money and work, which is not a bad card because the Four of Pentacles is about security. It does talk about a desire to preserve, yeah, what you have. Four of Swords at a soul level, which comes after the Three of Swords. So it's about, it's resting and rebuilding our energy. Page of Swords and then the Ace of Wands, beautiful. And then you get your Sun card, which I bet you the Ace of Wands, this is the Aries impulse coming back, yeah. And it just is. It's this is Mars, and the Sun card is about illuminating, bringing clarity, bringing light, bringing energy, all those things that a fire sign really, really loves, by the way. You know, if you think of a water sign, they're really, actually, a bit of a, but they're always looking for the merging. Fire signs are always looking for this expression, this desire, this propelling themselves forward. There's something going on in your relationship dynamics. But what seems to be going on, I don't dislike the Five of Wands actually, in any shape or form. It gets a bad rap, but it's the forces of evolution. That's the end of it. How I started it, Mars and Scorpio, they work together to create this evolutionary force that propels us forward. It's definitely something to do with the emotions. Because I don't dislike what's going on in your Pentacles. So what's going on in the relationships with Aries? One card, please. Or an advice card for how they navigate it. You get the Wheel. which is a 10, which is a completion process, which is a clock, which is a sense of destiny. You know, COVID 2020 has been a challenging year for everyone. All relationships have gone through challenges, by the way. Our relationships, our finances, everything that we want, which has gone through a challenge. Yeah. But what wants to happen here is there's some sort of evolution that wants to happen, because that's what the Five of Wands means. And maybe something's got stagnant. That mice, maybe there's undermining energies in your relationships. And what I want you to do is create a dialogue to try and find out what that's about. So do you feel undermined? Does the other person? Is there new life required in this relationship to move it forward? Because sometimes that's what it's about, and one person wants to change, the other person doesn't. Or one person's been super controlling, the other, you know, there's generally dynamics that happen through no fault of our own, Aries, because what's been called for here is some sort of movement forward. Maybe for some of you there's been a heartache in the past, the heart's been closed, and this push is to reopen it, to learn to embrace love again, to learn to embrace relationships again. And that's how the Five of Wands tends to show up for people. It's now there's change, and you're going to feel the desire for change as a pressure, because it's like fire is like being cooked, so it changes from one form to another through a little bit of pressure. So what you want is a Ten of Pentacles. This could be financial, or it could be that the Ten of Pentacles is a very open card. Yeah, it's very, very open. People can come and take from it because it's got plenty. Yeah, the box runs over. So it is Pentacles, which is about resources, but this also might be to do with the connection. Maybe there's a little bit of one person's too guarded, so there's a wall up in your relationships. Tell me more about the Ten of Pentacles, please. Yeah, look, with the Two of Cups. So this is about openness and flow in your relationships. And the good news is, what's helping you get that is the Six of Pentacles. So the Six of Pentacles is about mutuality. For some of you, this is about money and what you're receiving support or giving it. I think probably receiving it, because the Four of Pentacles is a card of preservation of what you do have. I think this is about the flow of energy in a relationship. The Six of Pentacles is actually one of my favourite relationship cards because it's an earth energy. It's always about making things stable, concrete and straightforward. And the only way we can do that, sometimes we need to rebalance the scales. We need to have a dialogue about the dynamic, make it more straightforward, make it more clear, cards on the table. And maybe that's what's desired here, is it looks like there's been maybe some words, some challenges in a relationship, and there's a push to, like the Six of Pentacles is about straightforward dialoguing. You're you, I am me. What's happening in the energy between us? And that's why evolution happens with people. And there's a push for that to happen. Now, Temperance is a challenge, which is keeping your head above water. It's also about the middle way. It's my Buddha card. So no excess of behaviour. Yeah. So keeping emotional balance, keeping your head above water, keeping your heart open, because she holds the grail. Yeah. So why is Temperance a challenge? Because it is about emotional balance, basically. It's with the Nine of Pentacles. which is the Virgo card. Taking a step back, having this emotional peace, digesting whatever's going on so you can walk forward and resolve. Because these scales are out of balance. And because Aries, that's not what you're about. Bringing things back to balance is essential for Aries, and it's always about give and take, being an individual but also being in relationship, being independent but being in connection. It's all those themes, and there's an urge to definitely keep emotional balance, digest what's happening, and keep calm, because there's this undermining quality with the Mice card. But create a relationship with it. Understand what it's about. Four of Pentacles and Money and Work is a preservation card. It's in no way a bad card, because the fours are all about having enough. But there's an energy of wanting to preserve the pentacles you do have. That's what the confusion in your relationship might be about. Yeah, you know, maybe there's a mix mash of something going on here. The Four of Pentacles, it's a funny old card, isn't it? Preservation. Because preservation is obviously essential. But these cards are all about flow. Why is the Four of Pentacles down here? I mean, I would say, yeah, it's with the Ace of Pentacles. So some Aries might be receiving a leg up from somewhere, by the way. Really, really with that Ace and that 6 there, there's some sort of support coming your way. And your energy is focused on preservation. So the Four of Pentacles can be putting money into housing, the ground under your feet, which is a very, very good thing to do with our resources right now. Just make sure, because money is a great example of spiritual truths, yeah? So just make sure it's good to preserve, but it's not good to close our hearts to people. It's a really interesting story playing out here, by the way. Can you give me an overall card for Aries? Yeah, you get the Judgment card. So Judgment card is rebirth. It's something coming back from the dead. Because I mean, for some of you, this is just arguments about resources, by the way. It really, really is. Because the gift is flow, but then you've got the, I need to hold on to what I've got here. So for some of you, there's this conflict around resources in a relationship. Yeah. Make sure you don't listen to your shadow. Because the shadow sometimes gets us to close our heart. And I don't know where this is coming from, but it might be some Aries know people that need support, for one thing. Maybe you're receiving it, but there's something interesting about the flow. But it's all about how something wants to evolve. Okay, something wants to have a breakthrough. And the breakthrough is probably to do with matters of the heart. But it looks like it's playing out in so many different directions. It's playing out in relationships, but it's also playing out around the give and take, the rebalancing of the scales. Okay? Because I'm not saying for a minute that we don't all need a Four of Pentacles, by the way, and the urge to preserve and not be silly. But we have to be careful when the Four of Pentacles are showing up, because the heart is being guarded. which is maybe what's creating a little bit of complex. God, someone else got, was it Gemini? I think Gemini got the most confusing reading ever. There's a little bit of a confusing, I might have to try and get more clarity. Four of Swords at a soul level is about rest. It comes after the Three of Swords. So I need to take a step back to recharge your batteries, which is a fantastic idea because it's going to be full steam ahead from the end of November and for quite a long time, by the way. And this is your full steam ahead. Yeah, so the Page of Swords is a bit news coming your way. And the Ace of Wands is a brand new, it's this brand new initiation cycle, starting a brand new path, something like that, with the Sun card. So this is the Aries card, and it's almost like the green light is fully on for you to move forward here. And absolutely, there's very interesting dynamic in your relationship, so I'm going to try and see if I can get a little bit more. Yeah, you're it's the leg up card, polar bear. And this either operates in two ways. Either you're giving support or you're receiving it. Yeah, it's one or the other. I've no idea which one it is. It might be different for both people. And the Five of Wands would be a little bit stressed about doing it, or the other person's a little bit stressed. There's a little bit of stress and tension around it. The stress and tension will be resolved by the end of the cycle because the Sun always brings clarity and illumination to something. But it's definitely about receiving support. And the Swans, which is about through relationships, through connection. Wow. I would say you're more the one, I don't know if you're giving it or receiving it, I really can't tell. But some would say they're both exactly the same thing. To give is to receive. Doesn't always feel that way, especially when we're under the power of the Four of Pentacles, which is I need to give, but I need to preserve, because they're very almost opposing dynamics. And there's laws about who we should give to, meant to, and laws, a lot of sort of, you know, we don't give to people who are just going to squander crap. So we can still preserve and support people. Or you're getting it. Someone is coming to support you because we need other people in order to fulfill our higher purpose. Yeah, relationships aren't something that's over in the corner. They actually support and help us to evolve. Even, probably mostly, when they're under tension, because it definitely seems a little bit of tension here, Aries. The Sun card would say there's nothing to worry about, honestly. Listen, I don't know about mid-monthlies yet. I have to say I'm in a massive energy preserving mood, same as you by the looks of it. Because there's so much. You want the last of that few weeks of that retrograde to squeeze out everything about what you want this new, about the new world, what energy do I want to bring forward. So it's a very, very important time. And it's great to preserve. Just be careful that it's not your shadow doing it. And when our shadow's doing it, we're doing it through fear. Yeah. And then we learn to work with that and learn to balance out those scales. Massively complex Aries. I'm sorry if this is, oh my God, what was that about? I can only work with what I've got. And when you're working with the Oracle, you have to trust that the message always comes out. Okay, much love. Bye.